Good morning. The story that I'm about to show to you is going to enrage you. I cracked out of bed about 10 minutes ago, and then I saw this in my inbox by multiple different people wanting me to talk about it. It's got to be something pretty rage-inducing and pretty bad. But you know, that's the power of social media, is because things can start with one simple tweet, with one social media post, and things can explode and get way bigger just overnight. And that's what happened here. Yesterday on Instagram, a story was posted. My 11-year-old son, Raheem Bailey, has faced racial and physical abuse, as well as more generic bullying about his height, among other things. Our artillery learning community in September of 2021, although he had mentioned a few incidents of people being mean to him recently, I did not realize the extent of what was going through until the incident this week. On Monday, Raheem called me in tears whilst I was at work, saying that he's being bullied and that the teacher threatened him with detention despite him being the one that's getting picked on. After work, I attended the school and informed them that all this needed to stop. I was then reassured that everything would be handled by Tuesday morning. On Tuesday morning, break time, Raheem was attacked and beaten by a group of children while at school. He was pushed to the ground and then repeatedly kicked. Consequently, Raheem made a desperate attempt to leave the school grounds in order to escape the situation. I received a phone call from Raheem, and then the school informed me of the incident. The school told me that the ambulance wouldn't arrive for 2 hours, but advised me not to drive Raheem and A&E myself. Raheem, his baby brother, and I were taken to a minor's injury unit by the school bus, despite them knowing that his injuries were severe. We spent the next 5 hours waiting for an ambulance to transfer us to the location where he would undergo surgery in Swansea, 50 miles away from his home and school. As time rolled on, it became more apparent that the possibility that my son was going to lose his finger was real. The doctors then confirmed that that was likely. I had to explain to him while he sat there in agony. After 6 hours of surgery to save it, which was ultimately unsuccessful, his finger had to be amputated. From the day of the incident until now, arbitrarily learning community have not reached out to me to check on his well-being. Please share our story. 2 photos were attached to this, along with a photo of her son, and then the photo of her son's hand being amputated. Now, we're not done yet, because obviously she created a GoFundMe. Here it is. It's already reached its goal pledge of 10,000. It's already, times 6 that, which is amazing, incredible. I wanted to make sure that this story that I was going to talk about is legitimate, because sometimes people do fake things on GoFundMe. I'm not saying this is very real, but naturally I had to ask the question, well, okay, a kid's being beat up by other kids. How did, the finger get completely destroyed? And for those of you who don't know, medically, your hands, the nerves in your fingers, your tendons, right? These are very small and very sensitive. Specifically, when you have hand damage, it is vital that you get that fixed ASAP. Because if you don't, there's permanent damage, or you'll have to be amputated, because your fingers and your nerve endings aren't as big as like your legs or your upper arms or things like that. These are very delicate joints and tendons. Therefore, they're a lot more sensitive to healing, and the hand is a very difficult place to heal injury. When Raheem made a desperate attempt to leave on the school grounds in order to escape the situation, he was climbing a fence and his finger got caught and attached to it, causing the skin to strip the finger and break it in half. After 6 hours of surgery to save it, which was ultimately unsuccessful, his finger had to be amputated. I'd really appreciate if you could help him in any way to get a personalized prosthetic, his finger, and any additional costs to get him on the road to recovery. I don't know what type of fence it is, but I know in fences, at least in America, we have a lot of metal chain fences. I'm surrounded by metal chain fences where I'm at right now. And hell, my jacket, my shirts, bags, I'll be at the fence and it will just get hooked and then it will rip a hole. I've had multiple hoodies of mine just get gigantic holes ripped because your clothes catch on it. So I can't even imagine a finger and you're falling off a fence and it's caught in a fence and it snaps. Like, it's horrific to even imagine that level of pain. But where things get really interesting is the social media account of the school. This is one of the things about social media, is that when an incident like this occurs, right, and some horrific thing happens to a child in a school, and the school does nothing, the administration does nothing to fix the problem, the administration's social media accounts disappear. Whoop-de-gone. As of right now, the account no longer exists. Now, apparently, this is the website, Raising Aspirations, Realizing Potential, Securing Futures. Well, that boy's future definitely wasn't secure in the fact that he was bullied to the point of having to run away from a problem and getting more hurt in the process. I can't speak for other places around the world, but I know in at least America that school administrations really don't take the fact of kids being bullied to the point of hurting themselves seriously at all, or getting hurt, or having permanent damage done to them. More often than not, in a lot of instances where I've seen, where let's say you have a school bully, somebody who's like being physically abusive to another student. They'll put the hands on another student, and that student pushes them off, and somehow, some way, they both get suspended. And I've seen this more often than not in cases like this where there's a lot of issues with bullying in a school where they just don't take it seriously until things are too late, or they punish the kid for simply just because he or she laid hands on the bully to get them off of them. Oh, well, we're going to suspend you too. I don't know. The policies that are enforced in a lot of schools seem to be different among every single school, but the administration of many American schools on how they deal with these actual problems of kids being pushed to a point of harming themselves or getting harmed by others is just something needs to be done. Now, obviously, I don't have a magical snap my fingers and I have a result. This is not like cyberbullying crap, okay? This is real life shit where kids go to school and they're forced to be around in an environment where they are mocked or ridiculed. This little black boy was mocked and ridiculed for his height. He was either really short or super tall. And I just can't even imagine being a parent and trying to talk to a school administration and they do nothing. And then days later, this is the result of having your child's finger amputated because your institution is so fucking stupid and bad and refuses to do anything to enforce policies. What needs to happen is those kids that were bullying that kid, they need to be eradicated from the school, suspended, kicked out. Ultimately, this is a terrible shame. And Albertillery learning community, fuck you. Removing your social media posts because things go viral because of your incompetence, your lack of action in school administration to stop a problem before it escalates and gets further, needs to be held accountable. And naturally, the only way that seems to happen if social media does its part, which apparently it already has because, again, they ran off social media. Anyways, the link to the GoFundMe, even though it's already reached its pledge, is linked down below in the description. I wanted to talk about this because it's really frustrating when I see shit like this, especially involving children. Now that I am a stepdad, it strikes a core. It's something new for me that I've never experienced. Pretty much a stepfather to other children, and hearing even kids who I'm involved with, their own experiences of what other kids will say and do to other children. It's horrific. It's really bad. Like, I don't think parents understand the level of damage and, like, actual effect it has on, like, a 10-year-old when you have people calling that 10-year-old names constantly or beating him up or throwing objects at another child. Like, that is horrific for any child to experience. And I don't need to go through statistics and go over case after case after case of where you have young children, like under the age of 15, somebody sends an inappropriate photo or something, the photo goes around the school, and then at the end of the day, ultimately that person ends up taking their own life because of the shame and humiliation and the bullying that goes through with children in schools, and nothing is ever done about it. The GoFundMe is linked down below in the description. Please check it out. Let's get her to $100,000.